Absolutely. Tesla shares are halted after a tweet from Elon Musk's Twitter account caused quite the stir. Kim Kardashian is not the only one that can break the internet here.
It's Elon.
Elon Musk doing the same and considering taking Tesla private at $420. Funding secured, period.
Seems pretty confident.
Seems very confident there. Stocks jumped after the tweet came out earlier this afternoon. Tesla did hit that intraday session high of more than $370, $371, and I believe 15 cents to be exact. Musk then tweeted, "Good morning," with a smiling emoji. All right, just further trolling us a little bit, and then further explained his comments, saying, "My hope is all current investors remain with Tesla, even if we're private. Would create a special purpose fund enabling anyone to stay with Tesla. Already do this with Fidelity's SpaceX investment. Shareholders could either choose to sell at $420 or hold shares and go private." So there you're taking a look at Tesla shares. Of course, they are still halted at this point in time. Pending further news is the comment around that. Tesla is up right now, about 7.4%.
All right, let's dive into this a little bit deeper. Of course, we're pleased to be joined by our great Hope King. She's joining us here on set, and Galileo Russell, founder of HyperChange TV. Galileo, Elon Musk actually responded to you on Twitter just a few moments ago in regards to all of this. Let's see if we can bring up your tweet on this, but let's get into specifics. What were you asking Elon Musk, and do you feel like he gave you a good enough response?
Yeah, I thought the response was amazing. So my biggest concern or sort of initial reaction to this news was a little bit of disappointment because as a long-term shareholder, I see a lot more upside than 420 per share and don't want to sell my stock at 420 per share. So being forced to sell at 420 in a go private deal would be a little bit of a bummer because although myself and all the other Tesla investors would make money at an all-time high, we'd be missing out on the long-term ride. And so I asked Elon about that and was a little concerned, and he replied basically saying that private shareholder or retail shareholders like myself would have the option to still hold. We could sell at 420 or continue to hold in this new sort of private entity.
All right, well, Galileo, it's great to have you back here. 2 days in a row, lucky for us, lucky for me as well. But I want to get your first reaction, like, what is going on right now?
Yeah, so I mean, and the seeds of this have been sown for a while. I mean, Elon Musk has been very frustrated with Tesla being public for quite some time. I believe he's even expressed concerns about, even taking the company public and said that if he were to do it again, maybe he wouldn't go public just because of the amount of scrutiny, the amount of hate from the short sellers, and just the media.
So you weren't surprised, Galileo? I mean, the whole world was stunned to the point where we're now just about an hour.
Yeah, no. I was definitely surprised, but I think it's easy to see where this is coming from if you've been following Musk and his comments about not wanting to go public. And so, and I've always believed that there's been enough funding on the table, whether it's a massive tech company like Apple or Google, who has even tried to buy Tesla in the past, or even whether it's like the Saudi government or Tencent or the SoftBank Vision Fund. Like these companies would love to get a shot at Tesla under $100 billion. They have the capital to pull it off. And so I think Elon is sort of validating the massive upside that Tesla has. Maybe he's just spooking the shorts, saying like, look, like as much as you want to say Tesla could go bankrupt and we're burning billions, like we have access to as much funding as we need if we want it. And this could just be sort of like showing that. But the bottom line is that the stock's halted. It looks like news could be coming out. So the story, we're like, this is not closed,
Right. We're waiting, of course, for whatever news Tesla's about to give us here any moment now. Galileo, I want to get your take on this. This is obviously, regardless if this is good news for Tesla or bad news for Tesla, it's a gutsy move on top of all of that. Dan Primack tweeted just a few moments ago, one of two things is true right now. One, Elon Musk has quietly pulled a huge coup and secured enough financially to buy his company at a premium, or he doesn't have the financing and the SEC is going to crush him for it. Which one of those two is correct?
I think it's a little bit overblown. I think every time stuff like this happens, people love to point out like, oh my God, it's illegal. He just broke the law. We're just in a new era of communication with Twitter. This is totally different. The internet means someone like Elon Musk can say something and instantly the whole world sees it. So I think the SEC is just dealing with a totally different ballgame here. Like they need to adapt their rules for this new social media environment we live in. I don't know the laws. I'm not a lawyer. I really hope that he didn't break the law by tweeting this, but I'm not honestly too concerned about that because frankly, I see a very clear path and a lot of reasons why there would be the funding lined up for this.
All right, well, look, we're hearing from some sources that some employees have already invested a lot in this company and had expected this stock to go well above that $420 number, the price that he had set out. What about you, Galileo? I mean, I know that you've disclosed how many shares you've had yesterday on the show. What did you expect the stock to go to? Is $420 a right number?
I mean, I think it's right if you want to sell today. It's a pretty standard premium, like 30% or 25% for a normal buyout. But, I'm a long-term investor, and I think we're so early in the story of Tesla, the electrification of the auto industry. Only 2 or 3% of the cars sold in the US are plug-ins. The entire energy system still runs on fossil fuels. These are massive problems to fix that I think Tesla is leading. I want to be along for the ride. So I'm really happy that there's the opportunity for us shareholders to be able to hold for the long term if we would like to, because I personally, unless I'm forced to sell at 420, will not be selling my shares there because I still believe that fundamentally undervalues the company.
Of course, the news that was happening 30 minutes right before this, getting lost in the mix as well. Saudi Arabia's sovereign wealth fund taking that $2 billion stake. I mean, look, this is another large piece of news to also factor into what's taking place here today. Where does that rank in your mind right now, and what do you make of that news as well?
Yeah, awesome stuff, Brad. And I think you hit the nail on the head here, which is that the misconception that Tesla can't raise capital is totally wrong. They can raise capital at any moment. There are a ton of entities, just like the Saudi government, who are dying for exposure to an asset like Tesla because they know the oil industrial, like fossil fuel industrial complex better than anyone else, and they know where the future's headed, and that's why they're getting excited about Tesla. So I think that validates sort of the overarching theme of the day, which is that Tesla has there's a lot bigger fish that would love to get a piece of Tesla, and it's not about them not being able to raise money, it's about them not wanting to raise money.
And I think the bigger thing is if they did get the capital, the fact that it didn't leak out is actually kind of impressive if he was able to get all that. Thanks again to Galileo Russell and Hope King, of course, for joining us here on the set. Of course, Galileo is the founder of HyperChange TV.